after reciting the Fatiha, or the opening chapter of the Holy Quran, as a tribute to the deceased head of state and war veteran Abdulqadir bin Saleh. The High Security Council, chaired by the President of the Republic, the Supreme Chief of the Armed Forces, and the National Defense Minister Abdelmajid Tebboune. It has been decided during this meeting devoted to review the latest development on the Moroccan borders to immediately close the Algerian airspace to all Moroccan civil and military aircrafts. The decision was motivated by the continuous Moroccan provocations and hostile practices against Algeria.
The former head of state and former president of the Council of the Nation, Abdelqadir bin Saleh, passed away on Wednesday in Algiers, according to the Presidency of the Republic. The deceased will be buried on Thursday at Al Alia Cemetery in Algiers after a door prayer. Due to this painful ordeal, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, decided to fly the national flag half-mast across the national territory for 3 days, starting from Wednesday. Born on November 24, 1941 in Faloussen in Tlemcen province, Abdelqadir bin Saleh joined the National Liberation Army at the age of 18, where he campaigned for the non-proliferation of anti-personnel mines. He was then appointed a political commissioner of the 8th region. After a career in the press and in diplomacy, where he held several positions, including ambassador of Algeria to Egypt from 1970 to 1974, and then ambassador in Riyadh, Abdelqadir bin Saleh became president of the National Transitional Council and the People's National Assembly between 1994 and 2002, then President of the Nations Council the same year. In 2019, he assumed the interim presidency of the Republic under the Constitution. On April 9th of the same year, he was appointed interim head of state pursuant to the Constitution.
Before resuming the discussion session on the Government Action Plan, members of the Council of the Nation, or Upper House of Parliament, observed a minute of silence in tribute to the soul of the deceased former head of state and president of the National Assembly, war veteran Abdelqadir bin Saleh. Following a heated debate during a plenary session chaired by the Council Speaker Salah Goujil in the presence of Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, members of the Council of the Nation unanimously approved the government's action plan. I would like to address several diplomatic and parliamentary matters, namely Algeria's stances, positions, political and economic independence. I held talks with the Prime Minister concerning parallel economy, which needs to be deterred to overcome this situation. For his part, Prime Minister, Finance Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman affirmed in response to the concerns of the Council's members that the government seeks through its plans to strengthen the pillars of economic recovery and achieve comprehensive national development, adding that Algeria has high qualifications that can make it take off again. The indicators of economic growth are positive, thanks to the economic strictness that we follow under the guidelines of the President of the Republic. Algeria has components to be proud of, which we will exploit as a motivating factor, which makes us look forward to changing the situation as soon as possible.
The Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Mtala Mamra continued on his intense diplomatic activity in the framework of the 76th session of the UN General Assembly. Mtala Mamra was received in New York by the President of the Libyan Presidential Council, Mohammed Yunus al-Menfi, to whom he conveyed a message from the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, and reiterated Algeria's solidarity and permanent support to the brotherly Libyan people for the achievement of the priorities of the current stage, especially regarding the holding of an inclusive national reconciliation that will settle the disputes between the brothers in Libya. An intense diplomatic activity was conducted by the head of the Algerian diplomacy, Mtala Mamra, who held high-level meetings with his counterparts of the member states, namely the South African Foreign Affairs Minister, Naledi Pandor. The discussions focused on the main issues on the agenda, including those relating to peace, security and sustainable development in the continent. In this regard, the two sides agreed to continue close-in ranks of the African countries in view of recent developments in the continent. Lamamra also met with the Jordanian Mediterranean Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Minister Ayman As-Safadi, the meeting allowed the two sides to review ways and means of consolidating the consultation and coordination of efforts in support of the various Arab causes, in particular the Palestinian one, as well as the fraternal relations between the two brotherly peoples. The head of the Algerian diplomacy discussed with his Greek counterpart Nikos Dandeas bilateral relations and ways to further consolidate them, issues pertaining to peace, security and development in the Mediterranean region, including the impetus of the political process in Libya. Lamamra also met with his Irish counterpart Simon Coveney, with whom he evoked several regional and international issues of common interest, in addition to the cooperation between the two countries to promote political solutions and peaceful settlements of crises within the framework of international legality, especially during Ireland's membership term in the Security Council. The consultations held by the foreign minister with his Vietnamese counterpart focused on the historical bilateral relations between the two countries, the promotion of consultation and coordination on international and regional issues of common interest, and the role played by Vietnam in the UN Security Council. Lamamra also discussed with his Estonian counterpart the prospects for consolidating bilateral relations in various fields and ways to strengthen bilateral consultations on the main issues of common interest on the agenda of the UN Security Council. Lamamra also met with Spain's Foreign Minister José Manuel to discuss bilateral relations and ways to upgrade them to higher levels. They also exchanged views on the latest developments in the region and the prospects for strengthening political and peaceful solutions to the crisis in the framework of respect for international legality. The talks with the Secretary General of the Mediterranean Union, Nasser Kama, provided an opportunity to review numerous issues relating to Euro-Mediterranean cooperation and the prospects for establishing balanced relations between the two shores that safeguard the interests of both parties and serve the objectives of peace, security and sustainable development. And finally, Foreign Minister Mtala Mamra held a meeting on Wednesday in New York on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly with his French counterpart Jean-Yves Le Drian, with whom he discussed the states of bilateral relations and the latest developments on the regional scene.
According to a communique released by the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Algeria strongly condemned the failed coup attempt in Sudan. This move, according to the release, goes against the political agreement and the founding texts of both Khartoum and the Juba peace agreements, which are part of the transition process stemming from the consensual will of the Sudanese people and military parties. Algeria calls on the current African Union's president to intensify efforts in order to strengthen democracy in Africa and the adherence of member states to the basic principles of the African Union. The municipality of Swahila in the province of Tlemcen commemorated 176th anniversary of the Battle of Sidi Ibrahim. A historical tourist caravan entitled Emir Abdel Qadir kicked off from the headquarters of the province of Tlemcen to the archaeological sites of the communes of Ain Bni Bahadel, Mansoura, Ghraya and Sibdo. The commemoration of the Battle of Sidi Ibrahim is an opportunity to highlight the particular place of Emir Abdel Qadir, his philosophy in the political, military and diplomatic management during the 17 years of struggle against the French occupier. This battle occupies a large part of the national memory. This is why we should include it in the educational system and restore all the historical sites related to it. An agreement on the activation of these tourist routes and the creation of a historical tourist guide was signed between the Ministry of War Veterans, or Mujahideen, and the Ministry of Tourism, which will be of a great contribution for the tourism sector, but also for the historical sites. Writing history is a way among many other ways to pay homage to our brave martyrs who sacrificed themselves throughout the colonial occupation period for Algeria's freedom and independence. 174 new confirmed cases of coronavirus and 14 new deaths were recorded during the last 24 hours in Algeria, while 135 people have recovered and have been discharged. This was announced by the Health Ministry.